Hi, so I am going to share one very interesting sort of subject. I started to read this one, and it's called The End of Money and the Future of Civilization by Thomas H. Greco JR. And I mean, the title itself I think is super interesting. So I have before I approached this book, I have been lately just diving into corporate finance, which involves big corporations and their financial form of methods in getting finance for their projects and different things, and how corporations are operating across the world and how they can avoid to pay taxes in different countries, even though they earning a lot of money from a local perspective, and yet they do not have to pay that much taxes and so forth. And also how corporations swallowing the local smaller types of businesses in their just move in expansion, and this whole continual form of expansion, and I think one of the aspects in that is that when something is expanding, we are not considering that things are also in the same time falling apart. So the energy that the expansion is coming from is also, meaning that things are becoming in a more fragmented form of energy form. So and before I picked up this book, the reason to why I tried and find something on this topic was that I was starting to think after reading corporate finance, because I was quite curious about knowing how things about stock markets and all these things, investment decisions, and how you can diversify investments in certain portfolios and stuff. I was interested to know how that worked, and I wanted to see how it ties into the whole health aspect and into the whole society-based aspect. And after doing quite a lot of that topic, I just felt like okay, there's some problems in this, like serious underlying problems in how the financial sector is operating. And I'm gonna say it, that I think that financial sector and stuff is not considering the overall health of the population, and it's not either considering the welfare of local societies, it's not considering the welfare or the quality of the environment, neither for now and not either for the future generations to come. So as I was in the university the other day, I picked up this book, and it was just happened to be, I was thinking about this, and by accident I was sitting by by a shelf that actually had the topic especially on this, So, and the very interesting thing is that I'm gonna give like a form of so first of all, the author to this book, because I want to justify the credit behind this. It's actually so it's written, as I said, by Thomas H. Greco Jr. He's a leading authority on free market approaches to monetary and financial innovations, including cashless exchange systems. A former engineer, entrepreneur, and college professor, he is a sought-after advisor and speaker at conferences across the world. I mean, even this, like alternative cashless exchange systems. I mean, that even just got my attention. So what I've been reflecting on before I picked up this book is that, money in its own doesn't have a value. It's like we are putting value on money. And one of the biggest problems is that, if you're doing something good, you're getting money for it. and also if you're doing something bad, you're getting money for it. So money becomes like making, you know, it's just diffusing out the aspect, the outcomes of the sort of actions or service or goods or products or whatever that is sort of used in sort of exchange to get you know, money. So I feel like since I'm vegan, I am sort of plant-based, I sort of, you know, I'm very much like, you know, I don't want to harm something, you know. So because I'm using money, that same money can also have been, before I have sort of been using it, it has also been causing a lot of problems before it sort of reached me, and then I'm just continuing using it in this form of, you know, energy flow. Because money is a form of energy, it's supposed to be, you know, flowing constantly. It's not supposed to be sitting in some place and be locked, because then the money itself is losing its value. You know, if you are having a lot of money, you need to invest it in order for it to sort of grow or make some use of it. And in that same time as you are investing it somewhere, it can actually be in companies or corporations and stuff that is causing very bad damages on the environment and on local societies and populations and health and everything in the meantime, as you sort of protecting your investment, the value of the investment. So I mean, the fact that this sort of professor is bringing forth this whole concept of alternative other forms of cashless exchange systems, I think that is a genius idea, you know, like to bring something else that we actually can use in order to sort of, you know, exchange products and services. But it's not money, because money itself, you know, if you have a large population, you know, and the money itself is only going to be, you know, sort of accumulated to a few privileged individuals. That's how the whole capitalist system is functioning. The capitalist at the top of the system is accumulating and earning the money, while, you know, in this form of hierarchical structure, the rest is sort of, you know, bringing their work effort into the system and getting some small money back, and then they sort of investing that into some, you know, consumerism. You know, they have this form of consumerism behavior and sort of, you know, bringing more money back into that system and into the corporations that these capitalists are sitting on, and they getting back the money. And it's just like, at the end of the day, most of the people are not even going to touch the money itself. It's going to be located at the top of the hierarchy of this system, and very few is going to benefit from this form of capitalist system. So what can we do? Because, you know, as this professor is sort of bringing forth, is actually this form of alternative ways of actually exchanging value, because what we are talking about here is a form of value. We have a value on a work effort or on a service or on a product or something, and we need to sort of be able to exchange it for something that can be on another time exchanged for something else, you know. But the whole problem with money, not only because it's so concentrated to a few individuals and to a few very, you know, privileged groups which can control the entire system, it's also this fact that, you know, individuals are more motivated by money than doing good actions, you know. Like, if you can get more money for doing something bad, most individuals would say like, okay, I'm gonna do the bad thing because I'm getting more money for it, rather than doing the good thing because maybe that is giving less money. So even that is causing more problem into the sort of, you know, system or into the society. Because I mean, nowadays I think so many people are so into this whole money mindset that they just want to generate money, but they do not understand what the problems of money is causing to the entire world, you know, on a more global scale. And also I think that most people are not really conscious about, you know, that, you know, it's not really, it's like a trap in one way, because as I said, you're running after money, but you're not running after the good things, because it becomes like whatever gives money is something that people would go for, you know. And so I mean that's like it's a problem in that, you know. So I think this topic is really interesting, and I mean, if you are interested in this, I totally recommend this book. I haven't read it fully. I started to read it today, but I mean, since I've already been reflecting on this for, you know, for a couple of weeks, I just wanted to sort of, you know, bring that into your awareness, so you also can sort of start reflecting it, because the more people are conscious about what they sort of are doing, their own behavior, especially when it comes to this whole money concentration focus thing, you know, it's important to understand what is it, what is money, because a lot of people today do not reflect on it, and they do not reflect on what it's causing for sort of problems, and why we have so many problems in the world because of money. And also the way that money is used as a tool. It is used as a tool for power and sort of to regulate different, for example, the health of different populations. And yeah, I mean, money itself is not causing the health, it is the actions, you know. But since the actions are exchanged and, you know, for money, it becomes like part of that system as well. So there was some very interesting sort of you know, this book, by the way, has really good titles, a lot of rubrics and like sections. It's very simple to read through. It is not like something that is heavy, even if you are not, you know, used to academic form of language. This is still going to be very simple read for anyone. And also, I mean, I'm not going to take anything out of this book, because I would recommend, you know, of course, that you read it instead. But I mean, the way that this book explains the capitalists at the top of this chain, it's definitely an interesting read, that's for sure. And I mean, yeah, it even has some photos and stuff in here. So go and pick this up if you are interested in this. I think honestly that most of us need to get more conscious about what money is for sort of thing, and especially how, you know, things are regulated by using money. Money is a form of tool, it's an exchange tool, but you know, money is not the only exchange tool that could be considered to be used. I mean, we have other options, and we need to consider that, because it could actually bring more positive effects into this whole system. It could generate more positive outcomes for, you know, local society, for the environment, for the health of populations, and just in general for people, you know. And also to sort of, I mean, can you just imagine to not have that form of like constant, you know, all these thoughts on money? I mean, imagine people if they just not had to focus all their, you know, awakened time on money, because money, as I said, it's just an exchange value. There are other forms of systems. That is what this book is bringing out, you know. So yeah, because I think that people are wasting their time thinking about money. They are only a few individuals who are going to have, you know, power over the system. That is how it is, and we are just a part of it, you know. Whether you live on the other side of the planet in Australia, or if you live in Sweden, or if you're living in, you know, let's say in Bangladesh or in the US, you are part of it, you know. But take a look at, you know, the history of these systems. The banking sort of system where is it coming from, who brought it forth, for what reason was it brought forth. When you're starting to look at these things, why was the monetary system sort of established? There was a lot of things coming forth after the world wars. There was like a need in certain places, and certain individuals and groups had a need for establish certain things, in order for their own survival and so forth. And that has caused a lot of problems. I mean, we have had problems in the history before that as well, but some of the systems that we have today is actually established after the world wars. But I mean, they sort of is building from the past and into, to where we are at the current. So yeah, so that's very interesting. I mean, I read like some business administration, like management, what is it called? Management accounting. I think management accounting and financial accounting. And I mean, one of the problems is also like that the capitalists have established like a form of status to these subjects. For example, I read a form of debate article that was published in Sweden about some university that is financed by the Swedish government, and it is sort of serving the interest of the capitalists who are at the top of this money exchange flow system, and it was very interesting because before, a while back, money wasn't considered to have like the status, like to be a capitalist was not, the main, it wasn't having that high status, but to establish these forms of institutions that training people, in learning about corporate finance and just how to manage these forms of systems, it has sort of add more status to the topic itself, which also is a problem, because that means that more people are just attracted to these topics because, they are interested about money itself. And money itself is not causing good actions, it's not causing bad action, it's what the individual choose to do with the money. But since most people are just concerned about money, it becomes more likely that they will go for the option that is bringing more money. And that's what we see across the world, what people, capitalists are doing, like in these really big corporations, is that they are not investing for what is the best for the environment. I mean, we have so much plastics in the sea and stuff, and that is because, what they're choosing to invest in is what is going to gain most money. And reasons to why big corporations that earn so much money from the local economy, why they do not even pay taxes almost in the countries. I mean, they have the systems in the, like the legalized form of systems and stuff to actually sort of avoid paying taxes. I mean, there is different methods to actually sort of decrease the payment of taxes, but I mean, that is not good for the local economy, because obviously, the companies that are smaller, they pay often the taxes, and those taxes go into different things that could be public schools or whatever, so yeah, so that's kind of a thing to consider. So this was a quite long video, it's almost 20 minutes, but I mean, there is more books on this topic, and yeah, I would definitely motivate you to have a look on it. It's whoever you are and whatever you're doing, to know these things is very important. It's important because it's going to shape the way that you are perceiving the world, and also how you are valuing things, because money itself, it doesn't have a value. We bring the value to the money, but consider what has value, from when you understand the concepts and the reasons to why these monetary systems and financial systems are established and who it is serving, that's going to shape another form of perspective for how you're viewing these things, and that's going to be more beneficial in order for you to sort of live a very, you know, meaningful life, you know. So I hope this was kind of, you know, inspire you to pick up some of these types of books and just research on this topic and sort of, you know, gather information and sort of make up your mind about it and sort of change the perspective that you maybe is currently having, you know. It's the same thing about like veganism or plant-based. I mean, this is tying into that because you are trying to do something good for the environment or for the animals, but the money itself that you're spending on these things is causing bad things because it's part of the money system. So how can you go about and, you know, do good things for the animals or for eating well when the money itself that you're spending on that in the same time is causing bad things?